Hi guys, welcome to another episode of the Bogey Golf Podcast hosted by Dave and Johnny. Today we're joined by a very special guest. He's ranked number 67 in the world. He is the 2019 European Tour Rookie of the Year. It's Bob MacIntyre. Bob, how you doing?
Good, thanks. Yourselves?
Yeah, good. How you been keeping? Has lockdown been in Scotland?
Yeah, it's been all right. It's been good weather, so it makes it a lot easier.
It does. And also I'd say helps the fact that your house is surrounded by golf course.
It is. It's nice. You can go out and walk the dog and just go a stroll around the course. It's looking in great condition, and finally got out there today, and it sure is in some of the best condition I've ever seen it.
That's great. Is it a little bittersweet, or were you allowed to sneak out with a couple of balls, or did you have to just watch longingly from your bedroom window?
I'm afraid not. My dad's the head greenkeeper, so he'll know if I've been out there. He covers every blade of grass, so I'm locked in the house for that 10 weeks.
So you've been at home for the whole lot of it?
I have, since Qatar.
Yeah. I found it, I was at home for a couple of weeks as well, and I found it like one of these great levelers in life, in that no matter what your standing or status, that you're like, you just muck in at home, and your parents just shout at you to do the old things that they did when you were a teenager.
Exactly that. I've been doing all sorts of jobs, painting the house, power washing. Now we're on to building a wall. I mean,
standard day-to-day things. That's great.
Yeah. European Tour Rookie of the Year. Not, you're still going to be painting the wall.
Listen, we might get into it if that's cool. Actually, hold on, before we do, how did you shoot today when you were playing out there?
Oh, not great today. There's a few lost balls, but we'll get there. That's the first game, and that's the first hit of a golf. Well, I've not picked up a golf club in over 4 weeks now, so I was practicing in the net and I wasn't enjoying it. I was just like, what am I doing here? I'm working on technique, but I'm hitting balls into a net. My TrackMan's saying the ball's doing this. I don't believe it's doing that, but it says it's doing that. So stuff at the clubs are away for a few weeks, and just brought them back out today and enjoyed it.
I heard on another podcast actually that you said that when you get home you like to just get away from the game. So that was this a nice break, or was it that kind of a little bit too long for you?
No, I quite enjoy it. I mean, I could spend my whole life at home. I mean, honestly, I could just sit here and chill out, play PlayStation, chat with the boys. That's the life I could live. But it's going to be good to get back moving again and getting competing. But for just now, it's nice to be at home.
That's good. So how did you? You've alluded to the fact your dad's the head greenkeeper in the course next door. So I imagine he's the one that got you into the game.
Yeah, he is. Him and my mum played golf. My dad was obviously at a high standard, but everyone in the whole family. I was the last. I'm the youngest of three kids. I've got two older sisters, so I was the last one to actually pick up a golf club. And my dad's left-handed as well, so he's obviously handed me a small club, and I've just gone out and started swinging, and that's the way it's been. And the other thing's shinty as well. That also helps. I mean, I think there's more left-handed golfers in this area than anywhere else in the world.
We'll get on to shinty, because I was listening to another podcast you did, and the story of how you got back into it is fascinating. But shinty, just in case anyone that doesn't know, is like a very aggressive version of hurling and hockey mixed together.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw after it isn't that bad, I was like, I need to just watch a few clips. So I was like, oh my God, how is a professional golfer allowed to do this?
Because it's not in any contracts and never will.
Good. Keep it that way.
Yeah.
So when did you realize that like golf is something that you could excel at and that you were really, really good at and could make this a career? Was it something that came easily to you as a young kid, or did you have to work at it?
No, I've always been quite natural. just something I've picked up from playing different sports. So I was always decent. And then probably when I got to, I didn't realise how good I was until I was about 15, 16, 17-year-old. Was when I broke my elbow, and I came back, and I thought, oh, my season's over. This is just a year. I just try to rebuild. And I came back, and I won the Scottish boys and Scottish youths, and I would have been 17-year-old at that time. And I thought, you know what, we could actually do something with this game. Played the Dunhill as an amateur, and then that was it. That year was my last game of shinty for a while. I just decided I can't risk it now. I'm trying to do something. From where I come from, small town, there's so much travelling. Mum and Dad sacrifice a lot, and I'm trying to play shinty here and play golf, and it just wasn't working. So I decided to put the shinties away and just concentrate on the golf since I was about 17.
That got you fairly quickly then into, I suppose, into the eyes of some universities in the US, and then obviously there's definitely no shinty in McNeese. So how did that all come about? Obviously, a fairly quick progression with the youth and boys wins in Scotland. So did they come straight onto you and say, listen, we want you over here ASAP?
No, I played the European, I think it was European boys where all the coaches went. I mean, there's hundreds of coaches that come to that event. And I played well there. Stroke play, I think I finished top 10. I was always good at the kind of boys level. And then I wasn't going to go to the States. I had it all planned out that I was going to just stay at home, do Scottish golf stuff, a couple of years as an amateur, and then give it a shot as a professional if I was good enough. And then the coach at McNeese, Austin Burke, messaged me on Facebook saying, I watched you at Mercer, would you be interested in coming to the States? And I just told him I'm not from a wealthy background, so I'm working class family, 2 older sisters. My mum and dad sacrificed a lot for me. My 2 sisters obviously still got some stuff, but there was a lot going into me at a certain point in time. And I said to him, look, I can't afford to go over there off my own back. And he understood it, and he then came back and asked me what he needed to do for me to go over there. And I just told him straight up, I need a full scholarship, and the next day put it on the table. So that was the only reason I went. I mean, I wasn't, otherwise I'd have been playing with the Scotland team.
Did you do a full 4 years there?
No, I'd done a year and a half. I got inside the top 50 in the world amateur rankings, and it was a small D1 school. And the team we were losing a senior, a good player, Martin Eriksson. He was a senior at the time, and he was leaving, and I went back for the second year. I'm a home bird, and I was a wee bit wary of kind of going to the deep south of Louisiana from being from a small town in west coast of Scotland. And I thought, right, I'll give this a shot. And I'm out there. The golf was great, but I was struggling to adapt to life. But you grow up so quick on your own. You've got to. You can't just be relying on mum to do everything for you. And then when I went out there, I mean, I grew up fast as I had to. And I mean, if someone offered me it again, I would go and do the exact same. I would go and have that experience, whether it was for 6 months, a year and a half, 4 years. I would go and do it all over again.
We've had conversations with a couple of guys who've gone across, and they all say the exact same in terms of what they've got out of it. Gavin Moynihan was one, Conor Purcell was another, who went to D1 colleges like you did, and they wouldn't change it for the world, even though it was more short-lived than maybe they would have thought, because they went over, now this is probably going into a question, they went over with just golf in mind. Was that what it was for you, or did you have university in the back of your head as well, or was this just all golf?
I was just all golf. I mean, I had it planned. If the schoolwork got to a certain point where it was too tough that I couldn't progress my golf game, well, enough was enough, and I'd come home. But there was more to it than just golf. I mean, for me, I went over there when I was just turned 18, and I didn't act 18. I didn't have the maturity of an 18-year-old. I mean, I jumped in the deep end and I couldn't swim pretty much. And it's just about learning life skills. And now I feel like when the Challenge Tour there, when we had to travel around, hire cars, have book houses, cook for yourself, you went in restaurants, you were trying to save money. I mean, them sort of things, I couldn't have done that if I wasn't over in the States for that time.
Yeah, I think that's one of the big things that from the guys that we spoke to, they all took similar learnings from that. So what was the gap then between leaving college in America and then deciding to go pro and give pro a chance?
Yeah, so I came home, and then I think I done pretty much a year and a half, 2 years as an amateur. Played Walker Cup, and then I decided actually was going to go to tour school as an amateur. Was going out to the MENA Tour as an amateur. Well, that was planned. Signed with Bounce, and then I just happened to one day I was like, I'm going to go to tour school as an amateur. If I get my card, great. If not, I'll have another year at amateur. And I just woke up one day, about 2-3 weeks before I was meant to go to the MENA Tour, and I phoned up my manager and I went, you know what, stuff it, I'm turning pro. What else is there for me to play here? I've played Walker Cup, I competed at the Walker Cup, I've seen the guys play, there's nothing to fear. I decided, I'm going to the MENA Tour and I'm going to try and make some money. At least then it's not a wasted trip. And that's what I've done, and the rest is history. It's just kept snowballing since.
Because I think once you did turn pro, the results came in, which this is going to be a trend for you obviously, but the results came in pretty fast. You had your first win on like your second pro start? Yeah,
second.
So I think instantly that's just for your own self, that's justification for the decision you made. You know that, okay, pro is the right thing for me. You came second in your first event as well, didn't you?
I came third. I think it was third. I had a poor first round as a pro. I think I shot 78, 5 over. Round in Jordan. And it was just like, I thought, oh, well, it can only get better from here. And then I happened to go and shoot. It was like 3 under, and then I went crazy last round. And missed out in the playoff by a shot. And I thought, right, I've played poor first round. I can compete out here. Then the second event, again, I was playing great and happened to get into a position. I think I was maybe tied for lead going into the last round. I was playing with an older, experienced guy, Stuart Archibald. And it was like, with their own buggies, it was that hot with their own buggies and stuff. But it was nice and relaxed. And that's the kind of golf I love to play. And I went out there and I scored well and managed to win it. But that was that made me realise, right, you've got to complete levels in professional golf. You've got to tick them off, and that's the reason I went out to the MENA Tour. I could have played the Dunhill as my first event, but I decided not to because I was trying to prepare for tour school, and I felt like Dunhill could be. I mean, you could play Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday practice rounds, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, get blown off your feet home, whereas in the MENA Tour, I was lucky enough that I was going to get rounds under my belt, practice rounds, training in decent weather, knowing that it's not going to be too windy. And just to tick off, it was all to build up for tour school.
And did tour life come easy, Bob? As in, it's very different to jump in. People say the transition is hard. Like, once you got in and you're on the MENA Tour, it was just like, yep, I'm happy out here. You said you're a bit of a home bird, so it's a long way away to get to those events. But how did it go off the course? How did it go for the first one? Obviously on the course went really well.
Yeah, I was actually quite lucky. I've managed to meet. There was a boy turning pro from Italy, Philip Gertz, he was turning pro the same day as me, the first event, and I met him at the airport heading to Jordan. I was like, oh, I didn't know anyone. I was there mowing. I was travelling mowing. I was like, Philip, how's it going? It was that way. Then I had someone to play practice rounds, go to dinner with, chill out. And that helped big time there. But on the Challenge Tour, it was quite easy because we were all travelling around as almost a Scotland team. It was whether it was 2, 3, or 4 of us each week, sharing houses, renting cars. So it was a great laugh. I mean, that's one thing I've struggled with on the European Tour at the start, was getting comfortable. I was in hotel rooms myself, travelling myself. Guys aren't playing the same events as you. So I had to find a different way. I had to meet new people. I just had to, again, I was going up another stage of learning. I had to meet folk that I didn't know, and just, I had to get out of my comfort zone.
Yeah, it's another way of the social side of it. Is it just shows how important it is, like being comfortable traveling with guys that you may not know initially, but will end up becoming good friends just by sheer virtue of you're going to be spending a lot of time with these guys, whether it's on planes, trains, or cramped hotel rooms.
Exactly.
So then, what was it's so, I guess, for people that wouldn't know you, your rise to your position sounds meteoric, but you alluded to it there, that you said you wanted to complete it in stages, and that sounds very, very tactful from my point of view. So it's a very, very intelligent way of going about it. So what was your next step to get toward the European Tour?
So the next stage was, I came home from the MENA Tour, and I think it was like a week at home max, and then I had tour school, second stage of tour school. I managed to skip first stage from, I was I think it was top 7, top 5, top 10 world ranking, but I was sitting like 6th, and that managed to skip me. Skip first stage into second stage. I had my dad in the bag, and we're doing all right. We're sitting handy, and then I had a poor third round, which kind of dropped me back, and then again I happened to shoot a low one on the final day, 6 under, to sneak it by a shot on the final stage the next week. Again, still my dad in the bag, just carrying the bag and just chatting rubbish. And I was sitting great. I was sitting inside the top 25 to get my full card. Shot level par last round in final stage, which dropped me out of the top 25. But I got my Challenge Tour card, and that's what I went there for. I didn't go there for my European Tour card. I went there for my Challenge Tour card. Okay. Because I just needed status somewhere to play. I had invites through Bounce, through the Challenge Tour. So I was going to get 7, 8 starts, but to finally get a full status and know I can plan events was huge. And then I started poor on the Challenge Tour. I was hitting it great. I just couldn't hold a putt, and then I just kept plugging away, and it just, all of a sudden it clicked, and it was like a light switch going off, and we just took off.
What's Challenge Tour like? So you spoke about how going over to the States was a learning experience. Was the Challenge Tour as drastic, or did you feel that you were a bit more prepared, and then did that then help you step up to European Tour?
It's a step up, but I wouldn't say I was ready for it. I had to try and work things out fast. I always wanted to do the things properly. Because I'm not from a wealthy family, I didn't have 10 years to give this a shot. I had 3 years, 4 years max to make some sort of reasonable living at it and go, well, right, I can survive here, I can live off this. Or I can see an end game of this. I know where I'm going. And so I decided, right, I'm going to have a caddy. And I told my management, everyone knew I need sponsorship, I need enough funding to go, I'm going to have a caddy, I'm going to do it right. And I'd done that, and I feel like I had another guy, Scottish guy, Stuart, in the bag. It didn't work. If I'd putted well, it would have worked, but you have to change certain things. And I then got Greg in the bag, and it was like a light switch going off. I had 2, I think I missed the first cut in Denmark with him, and then it was just, we hardly missed a cut from there. And it was just, he gave me the freedom to play golf. I was just like, I love hitting the driver, so I'm like, right, let's be aggressive here. And we just kept going at it, just the way I like to play golf. And Greg was just like the jockey. He was just holding the reins when they needed to be pulled. And other than that, just let me go and play golf.
So that's how you work best, is it? If you just whilst you're out there on the 18, you just focus on hitting the shots and let it run naturally, and he's just there to rein you in on the few times that you might need it.
Yeah, exactly. That's the only way I can. I mean, some guys like to be more picky and they pick away at things, but I'm one of them guys that just sits back and lets it ride, let the wave ride, and don't get too engrossed in it. Don't try and focus on the other things other than the one shot I've got. I just like to have everything on live life on the edge and go at things, and I just feel like that's the only way I can play golf.
Driver off the deck in the Italian Open type stuff with trees left and right. Yeah, just give me the driver. I don't know like that.
That was one of them. He was trying to kind of pull me back on. I'm like, Greg, I've just been bogey. Give me that driver.
That's the type of thing you'd see, like, one of my mates trying to do, and then they just like duff it into the trees and get left.
Oh yeah, different level of stuff that. But the it all seemed to come like it kind of makes a lot more sense now, because you're really methodical about things in the way you've taught your progress through. So I'm kind of going to your rookie year, and everyone thinks that you, like, obviously from the outside, smashed it in the first year, but it was a fairly well thought out process. It wasn't by chance that this has all happened to smash into the top 100 in the world in your first year.
Yeah, it was all. I mean, for me, I've got to set things in stone. If I can't just do things by surprise. It's not the way I do things. It's all, especially in golf. I mean, I can do anything by surprise, but I can't try and prepare for an event by just kind of winging it. It's always got to be thought out. If I'm not ready to do something, then I don't do it. But on that side of things, European Tour players have got caddies. So if I got my Challenge Tour card, and say I didn't have a caddy, I played well, got my card. The minute I go on the European Tour, I've got to change. I've got to learn how to handle a caddy. I've got to learn how to work with a caddy. Whereas on the Challenge Tour, if I could find that secret, or that kind of almost like a rhythm, if I could find that rhythm with a caddy on the Challenge Tour and take him on to the European Tour, there's no difference. The standard might go up slightly across the board, but you're still playing golf. There's 18 holes. You're shooting at flags. There's no difference. You've got to have a guy that's on the bag and that'll fight with you. So for me, there was just no difference in. For me, going from Challenge Tour to European Tour, I was just there to play golf against top players, I suppose.
And do you find that you're kind of the person who, do you learn better from your mistakes, or are you the type that goes seeking advice from other people? Like, were you getting out amongst kind of the more senior players and finding out what works for them and then obviously putting it into your own game? Or was it like, right, I'm trying this, if it doesn't work, I'll move on to the next thing myself? Or what was your head at with that?
I do. There's a few guys that I can go to out there that, I mean, I got on great with a few of them. There's some of the older guys, like I've played with a few really experienced guys, like Ernie, for example, that I would just pick his brain the way around. It wouldn't be like I wouldn't ask him a straight up question like, how would you do this when you were younger? It would be like a roundabout way. There would be a conversation going. I would kind of slip a little line in there, and he would come out with something, and it would register in my mind. It's just great to get to know these guys. And every time, for that last year, I mean, every time I walked onto a range and Ernie was hitting balls, he would always take the time to stop and speak to me.
That's Ernie L's multiple major winner. He's just, he's just a good mate, Ernie.
Yeah.
No, but that's the great thing about golf, is that although I've looked up to these guys, I've watched them win majors on TV, and then you're thrown in beside them, but they're no different from you and I. We're both there trying to compete, try to win a golf tournament, and most guys out there are chilled out and will chat away. There's just the odd one that won't chat, but you get to know the ones that aren't wanting to chat, and you kind of just go round the roundabout.
Yeah,
you seem to be the kind of person who just takes people at like they're just normal people. They happen to be very good at golf, but has that attitude helped in how you've been able to be so successful so quick that you don't seem to be intimidated? Like your first open start, you were tied 6th, for example. You won Rookie of the Year your first year on main tour. Like that seems, you just don't seem to be too fazed by names and personalities rather than just getting to know people.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I mean, some of the rounds that I've played last year, I could hardly get the ball in the tee in the first. But once I get going and start playing, chatting to folk, it doesn't really faze me. I just treat them the way I would treat anyone. If things get nasty, I can get nasty. If they're nice guys, then you can be nice. But it's at the end of the day, I'm just playing a game that I love, and they should be the same, and we just enjoy it, and best man wins.
It's interesting. We hear this phrase that athletes and sports people like to throw around, which is controlling the controllables. And it seems like you've mastered that. So you got your caddy in early. You went about this in the most ultra professional way, so that when it came to the point where you stepped up to the limelight, everything that could be a variable that was within your control, you had. So like other guys on how the tour is played, that's their thing. How you do your day or your week, you had that routine ironed out and a really good foundation. So by the time that your first event in the European Tour came, the sense that I'm getting is that for you, it's almost like you're saying, this is just another week, let's just go have fun.
Yeah.
Which is unbelievable to hear, because you don't get that kind of honesty or level of preparedness, or you don't hear about it from your average player.
Yeah, some guys, I mean, I got a big help from my managers, Ian and Dell. As I said, I want everything in place. So when I was going to South Africa for my first events, all my flights would be booked, accommodation booked. They would send me a sheet through. I know what time my flight is. I then know when I need to get to the airport, and everything's just in place, so that I'm just ticking off the list, going, right, I need to get here, need to do that. Everything's in place, and all I'm doing is literally getting to the golf course, playing golf. If you play well, you get money, you go home, you pay everyone, and we go again. It's just, I can't play golf when I'm thinking about other stuff. I mean, that's just, if you've got to think of how I'm getting from A to B once after this Sunday round, well, hang on a minute, I've got to compete against some of the best players in the world here before I think about how I'm getting to the airport after this. So everything on the course, I'm the boss. Everything off the course, they can be the bosses, because they've got to get me in the right shape off the course.
And did that then allow you to enjoy the European Tour once you got out there at the start?
It does. I knew that I had, again, enough finances to, if I missed every cut, I would have enough finances for me to play the last event of the season without me being broke. You know what I mean? Everything has to be in place for that to work, and for me not to worry about anything, knowing that, right, I've had a bad week here, but we go again next week. We've got enough money to play next week. I mean, I'm never flash. I wouldn't go and stay in the smartest hotels last year, or book a business class flight. Just sort of things that you've got to manage your money right. Obviously, when you start making good money, you can start long haul flights. I'm like, to Australia and stuff. I'm not flying economy. I just can't deal with that. So I would just jump on the upgrade and fly business class.
But then at the same time, that's all stuff that enables you to perform your best when you need to, which then gets everyone else paid at the same time. So if you do that, it pays its dividends. So
it's as you said, it's an investment.
Yeah, for sure. So then your first few results, I think if you're to be critical, your first few results were not quite as flashy as toward the end of the season or even after the British Masters. Was there something that changed in the lead up to the British Masters?
Yeah, I was doing steady. I was finishing, I think my best finish was 15th. Back-to-back weeks, tied 15th in South Africa. I think I missed one cut in my first 11 starts. And then...
Not a bad season by any means. Like, people were taking their hand off for that kind of a start. Yeah,
so I was sitting nicely. And then I had a break of 5 weeks at home. But it was getting on top of me. Golf was it was becoming a chore for me for a little bit there. And my first event back was Morocco. And I was like, to my mum, my dad, my managers, everyone in my team, I was like, I don't want to go to Morocco. It was going to be Morocco, China, British Masters. I'm like, I'm not going to Morocco. Like, you've had 5 weeks off, get your arse to Morocco. And I'm like, nah, I'm not going to go. So I ended up going. And it was the worst decision I ever made. I was like, didn't want to be in the golf course from the get-go. From the Monday, I did not want to be in the golf course. And Greg, if you ever speak to Greg would tell you the exact same. I was a crab at git on the first tee on the Monday, not wanting to be there. And ended up missing the cut by a fair few. Phoned Ian. And I'm like, look, I'm not enjoying golf. I'm going home. I'm not going to China. I'm like, get me the next flight home possible. Cancel China. I need to work things out, and we'll go to British Masters if I'm ready to go again. So that was it. Flew home, sat my team down, and I said to him, right, that something needs to change here. I'm not enjoying golf. And it was whether stop playing competitive golf or something in my life I had to do something. Everything, it was golf when I was at home. My pals love to play golf. When I'm at home, they want to play golf. I'm like, right, let's go and have a hit. So I decided, I said to my dad that my dad knew exactly what I was getting to when I sat them all down and do something different.
I can see where this is going.
And I said to him, I'm going to go back and play shinty or start training the shinty team. My dad started coaching them anyway. So it was like, right, I knew I could go. My mum didn't like the idea. She's like, that's a bad move. You've got a career in golf. I mean, what are you doing? I'm like, Mum, I'd rather live happily and enjoy myself than make good money and be down in the dumps. And she's like, aye, fair enough. So that Tuesday, so that was I got home, I spoke to everyone on the Sunday. Shinty training on Tuesday, Thursday of China. I actually played the game on the Saturday. Travelled down to Hillside on the Sunday night, and then from there, every week off I'd be shinty training Tuesday, Thursday, game Saturday, and then the whole season just erupted from there.
So how long was it then between the end of Morocco to the British Masters? Because that's where, I guess, from like a passing golf fan, you really burst on people's radar.
1 week.
That's a big week.
So you just needed a week of shinty to get everything out of your system.
I just needed I just had to enjoy myself. I had to become I was 22 at the time. I had to go back and become a 22-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
And do all your friends that you kind of grew up with, are they all on that shinty team?
Yeah, everyone. I mean, it's like over. It's like a religion over here.
Yeah.
Where I'm from, there's I think 3 shinty teams in the town. So it's like, if you're not playing shinty or you're not in the football team, you're not really into this. You're not really sporty anymore. And all the boys play it, and I'd normally go down now and again and watch a game, or I'd have a hit about, but I would never get like. There's a different adrenaline. There's a different rush you get on a shinty pitch. And
are you good?
I'm all right. I'm handy.
You're a good striker, ball striker, I would have thought.
I'm all right. I mean, I stopped playing it there for 5-6 years, so I'm still trying to kind of find the groove again. But that was huge for me, and ever since I've just continued to do it. And I've probably been in the best mental state I've ever been in, for not just for golf but for my life. I just enjoy myself. It's the only way I can do things, and shinty was what a help that's been.
I actually my brother was an AFL player in Australia, and he went, and on his holiday home he was really fed up with his AFL stuff and went and played for the local Gaelic football team. Now it cost him about $4,000 to play the game, but it's the exact same principle. He was like, he just needed to get out and play with his mates for nothing as well, because it's obviously completely different. So I to see you kind of realize that this is what I actually need to do, much to the ire of your mother, I would have thought. But your dad was coaching at the time, so he was obviously happy enough to have you play, was he?
Aye, he was happy enough, but it was like, I knew the risks that I was putting myself into. I was putting myself into a situation that I didn't need to do, but for me, I had to do it.
Because you said earlier on that when you were younger, like 16, 17, you broke your elbow playing shinty?
No, that was playing football.
I was playing football. Okay, well then that's fine.
Again, I slipped, and I just put my hands down behind me and it snapped. But I could do it walking down the street. I could trip over a curb, so I just try and kind of keep everything as close to the way I've been brought up. I mean, when I was younger, I played great golf by playing shinty and golf. So for me, I feel like there's a connection there, and it kind of proved it when I started playing it again. There was something, I couldn't put my finger on what exactly it was, but there's a connection there somewhere that makes me playing shinty makes me play good golf.
So do you still, looking back, think that going to Morocco was the worst decision? Or, with hindsight now, could it be the best decision because it was that trigger for you to take a long, hard look at this? Yeah,
it turned out to be a great decision because it got me thinking about what was going on with my life, not just my golf, but with my life. It was almost like depression. I was like, going to play golf. I'm not enjoying golf, but I've got to go and play. And I didn't want to be there, and it just had to get my mind back into being a 22, 23-year-old guy and just enjoy life the way you normally would. And that's I've just kind of found my own little formula, and it's working so far.
It's funny because in that golf space, like the first thing you might look at is maybe the caddy gets the bullet, or the coach gets the bullet, or the manager gets the bullet, but it wasn't that at all. Like there's a lot of maturity there to be able to look going, there's something way outside of golf here that's going to actually help me be a better golfer. And 1 week of shinty led to the British Masters. So the finish there, do you want to run us through that, because that's obviously where you really did crack into it?
Yeah. Turning up that week, I think that's the first week my coach had actually been at an event since the Scottish Challenge. So it'd been about a year to the date. And I'd heard great things about the golf course, Hillside. It was a driver's golf course. I'm like, rubbing my hands, perfect. and I turned up. I wasn't driving it good, and I'm thinking there's something wrong, but not. Hitting irons, unbelievable. Just shortened the swing, and I just went out and I was free. I loved the golf course. I mean, the back nine's probably one of the best back nines, or not even the best back nines. It's probably one of the best 9 holes in golf. There's not many that give you the visuals. Everything about it is just stunning. And I just happened to. I think I started off decent enough, and I got comfortable with the golf course, and we just kind of snowballed. We just kept going and going and going. We knew every hole on that golf course was a birdie chance the way I was hitting my irons. And no matter if I made a double bogey, Greg would just keep saying to me, well, Davy Burns, my coach, would keep saying to Greg, look, there's birdies round every corner. After every hole, there's a birdie looking. It's just, they're everywhere out here, the way you're hitting your irons. So every time I done it, every time, like, Greg would just keep reminding me, look, there's birdies out here. We just got to find them. And it just going into the Sunday, obviously, in with a chance. I started horrific. I was nervous playing with Tommy in his home event. Second hole, pushed it left into the hazard, walk off, double bogey. But again, Greg straight onto me, Bob, there's birdies round every corner. So he just kept me in that mind frame that, look, let's just keep the foot down here. It's not over. And we managed to crawl back, just keep on crawling back, and it missed a few chances. But then 17 and 18 just, I mean, that's typical about the way I play golf. We just go for it. We're out of the race, but there's still a chance we can get in amongst us, and happened to hit probably one of the best top 3 shots I've ever hit in my life on 17 to about 3 feet. Managed to eagle that, and then 18 again, 2 great shots. But I then find out that I was slicing my driver. I couldn't hit my driver for the front 9 because the wind was always off the left. No, the wind was always off the right, and the ball, I was slicing it. There was too much spin on it, and I'm thinking there's something wrong with my swing. But we went to Denmark the next week, and it turns out there was a crack in my driver, so I could only hit the driver. I could only hit the driver when the wind was hard off the left, because I could slice it into it. And it's just little things like that you don't realise until it's finished, that the chance that you had, if I just bitten the bullet and went and got things sorted out, then it might have been different.
Those mad small margins
that's incredible.
That shape your life, isn't it? Like, it's a small crack in the driver, you going home to work on in your own mental happiness, and that has really shaped your career path. It's the more we haven't spoken about like half of things that I've written down here, because you're so fascinating. It's brilliant.
I think it's amazing that you finished tied second in the British Masters with a cracked driver.
Yeah.
That's a brilliant story.
I made so many double bogeys that week. I think I had 3 or maybe even 4 doubles, and it was just, all of it was the driver. Every time the wind was hard off the right, I was trying to hit driver and I couldn't work it out. I'm like, this thing should not be going that far left. And I just kept doing it, and I was like, right, Greg, this driver does not, on the Sunday, this driver does not come out the bag when that wind's off the right. It can only come out. And it's funny enough, the whole back 9, the wind was off the left. So I knew if I just get this thing down the back 9 within touching distance, it suited us. I would just hold this thing into the wind. And that's what that turned out to be the best. I mean, I was still miles behind. I birdied, I think it was 14. I knocked in about a foot. And then just managed to get momentum and managed to finish strong. And Mark just hold a great putt to sneak us all out of the playoff.
And is driving generally your strength, you'd say, or are your irons like that, your approach? Because I saw there's a video on YouTube of your highlights of the year, and it's all these approach shots, all to feet, like 2 or 3 feet. So I watched that and I was like, holy crap, he is unbelievable approach shots. But what I'm getting from you is that you're also being put into those positions because you're so strong with the driver.
I do. I mean, I'm hitting drivers in holes that I probably shouldn't be. I've struggled a wee bit with the driver in the last wee while. Don't know why yet. I've still tried to work it out, but I've just not had the right shape for me. I like to draw the ball, but I can't seem to draw the driver just now, and we're trying to work things out. But I'd say, I mean, I feel like I'm one of the better iron players out there in the European Tour. I feel like as long as I'm anything under this kind of 5 iron, if you go kind of 4, 3, 2 irons, it's kind of, you're just, if you're going at a green, you're just trying to get it on the green or around the green. You're not trying to knock a pin out. But if I'm getting a 5, 6 iron in my hand, I feel like I can start looking for pins, certain shapes. I can hit draws, fades, and you just start, you almost go pin hunting at certain times. But it's, I don't know, I just feel I get comfortable in my swing. I changed my swing quite a bit with my coach, Davian, but it was for the better. It's to launch it higher, and just little things that I've been working on over the last kind of 3 years that I've got my irons up there with some of the best.
That's and it was proven in a really short period of time as well, because you went from obviously competing on the European Tour, so second in Hillside, then second in Denmark, and then like you're cracking into your first major then, and then it's tied 6. Like for a guy coming in who's literally 8 months before is on the Challenge Tour to going into a major week, like how big is, now we heard an awful lot about Portrush and how good the facilities were, but how big is a major week compared to a regular week?
It's majorly different. It's big time different. I mean, it's just everything is off. Everything is off the charts. I mean, you turn up to a European Tour event and everything's on site. But I mean, just little things like we went in. When you first go in, you're getting pictures taken. Everything, but it's like a conveyor belt. You go around a room, and you just get everything sorted for the week. Accreditations for the family, coaches, everything that you need's there. And it was on the next level to a normal event. But the golf tournament, I knew Portrush. I'd played it 12 times prior to this. So I knew I was turning up to a golf course that I loved. I just hadn't seen the new holes. But I knew that if I turned up there and played decent golf, then I would make the cut. But I didn't know that was going to be the first time I properly played against the world's best. And that's when I kind of realised that I can compete out there. And it just happened to, if I had putted better from short range, then we could have been properly competing.
Who are you proud with on the opening day? Like your first tee shot, first hole, your first major, like that's an experience that 99% of people will never get to experience. So I'm sure it's etched in your memory.
Yeah, so it was with Kyle Stanley and Beef in the first 2 days, and it was unbelievable. I mean, Beef's kind of got the same attitude as me. Doesn't really, not too much bothers him. And the two of us had a great laugh. It was like literally out playing with one of my pals. That was the first time I'd met him as well, but we were encouraging each other. When he was holing, I think he eagled the second. He holed about a 50-foot putt in the second hole for eagle, and we're kind of fist pumping, congratulating him. And then I hold a bomb from off the green on the drivable par 4, and then he's done the same. And it was like an encouragement. It was positive. There was positive energy between us, and we're kind of boosting each other on, which was a big help. I mean, it kind of took my eyes off of making the cut when I was doing well. I was starting to look ahead. I was trying to look at the top of the leaderboard rather than looking behind me.
And I suppose probably maybe in contrast with how things went with Kyle, Kyle Stanley. So he hit a drive, didn't call it 4, and nearly hit your mum, or did hit your mum.
No, so he hit a second shot on 14, which hit a guy in the knee, out the rough, didn't shout 4. He then hit on 17, winged it way right. I'm shouting 4. Me and Greg and that are shouting 4 as it's crashing into the crowd. It hit Greg's mum on the hand when she was covering her head. Greg realised that, so then Greg starts getting annoyed because he's not shouting 4. And I've gone to him, right, he's got a job to do, I've got a job to do. Because he was right in the cut line. Now, some people would have said something there and then, but I was like, no, I can't do that. I've got to just finish as high as I can here. He's right in the cut line. I think he was inside by a shot. And I'm like, he's got a job to do. He's got a living to make as well. So I left it. I goes, Greg, I'll deal with it after the round. And left it, finished. Into scorer's hut, said it politely to him. He didn't appreciate it. And then we just kind of lost the rag a wee bit. And it snowballed a wee bit too much. But I done everything the way that I thought I should have done it. And,
yeah.
There was quite a lot of guys that came out and supported me, which was huge.
Yeah, I think the fact that you said it, you're 100% right. Because I think you see, in more recent times, you see even a lot of club players who now don't bother shouting 4, which is not a great practice to get into. And sure, where do you learn that practice? But from watching the tour. Like if people didn't see other people doing it, they wouldn't do it themselves. But the way that you handle it was I guess, a testament to the gentlemanly way that people perceive the game. As you like you said, he had a job to do. He needed to make the cut. If you said to them on the fairway the 17th, the narrative could have been very different. But just the way you handled it seems to have been brilliant. And obviously, a lot of people came out in support of you.
Greg wanted to say it to him on 18th because we noticed after we played 17, we're walking to the 18th tee, and Greg's mum had something in her hand, like an ice pack or something. Greg's like, "You all right?" to his mum, and she's like, "Oh, I'm fine." But we knew what had happened, and he was so angry, and I'm like, "Look, we can't do anything right now. We've got to finish this round off, and then I'll try and kind of sort it out." And that's all I done, and I thought I'd done it a great way. I didn't expect it to kind of get blown up to what it got blown up to, but I was playing such a big event that it didn't matter who it was. If someone does it on the European Tour, I'm going to say something to them, and I'll probably say it to them on the course. But that was if it was earlier on in the round, I'd have said it to them, "We shout 4." But it was late in the round, and it was getting kind of nitty gritty for him to make the cut, and I just thought, right, we'll leave him to it just now. But that's the only way he could do it.
Did he make the cut?
He did. He made the cut. Yeah.
So, but you certainly weren't paired together then, because you really kicked on, which was great. The only way to silence him, I suppose, or to show it to him, was like the finish. Like, Johnny and I were just talking there that I followed you for 4 or 5 holes on the Friday, starting on 7, and just because it looked like a really fun group, and the dynamic that you guys had looked like there was 2 old mates playing together, to be honest, because you were just laughing and joking your way around. Didn't look like a cut day of a major. But then it's great that didn't kind of take anything away from what turned into just probably the biggest week professionally that you've had.
Yeah.
Because what a place, and what a finish you had.
Yeah. I got a lot of negative. I mean, although there was a lot of people getting behind me, I mean, some of the messages I got on social media of people saying you're wrong, people didn't get this full story of it. They thought I was in a different group from them and whatnot, and it was like, right. And I was seeing all the messages. I were coming onto my phone, and I'm like, I'm that kind of chilled out. I don't even reply to some folk. I'm like, he's an idiot. He doesn't know what he's talking about. But just late on in the night, I hadn't replied to any negative comments, and late on the night, I thought there was one last man came in right at the end, and I was like, he doesn't have a clue what's going on with him. So I told him, I said to him nicely again, this guy. I told him exactly what happened, and then about 3 messages after, he went, "Sorry, I'm wrong. You were right." And that just gave me the freedom to go and play. Again, I was going into the biggest weekend of my life, and I was getting a lot of praise, but I was getting a lot of criticism as well, and there was a lot of attention on me, which I didn't really like. But I'd done everything that I thought I should have done.
Yeah, I think if you're to ever talk to a young player about how to handle a situation, that seems to be the perfect example of how you should have done it.
I was lucky enough that my golf kind of done the talking in the end, and it wasn't. I wasn't. Port Rush wasn't remembered for me as he just called out Kyle Stanley. It was like, right, he started putting his name out there. For his golf.
Yeah, it's also.
You're saying.
Sorry, go ahead. No,
I was just about to ask. I was wondering that you felt that the comment on social media that guy apologizing to you freed you up. If you're looking back again, do you think you would have had your social media channels open and just not looked at that? Because it's a strange place to be pinning your own kind of mindset versus what comes up on your phone. Do you think that that's something that you'd learn from now and say, listen, just block all that stuff out? Just what happens on social. It's not real life. Twitter's a weird place.
Exactly. I've actually learnt that from even the British Amateur. I was in the final of British Amateur, and I was because I was away from home. I was talking to my mates, and there was too much coming in. I was thinking about too much other than going to play a golf match. And I normally do that, but that one time, I mean, I had mates over there watching me at the Open. They were all round for dinner and stuff every night, and some of my family were there, and they're looking at it. Like my sisters are going, they're wanting to reply to him, and I'm like, whoa, just calm down here. It's some dafty on Twitter try to dig at me. It doesn't matter. They're not here playing this event. And so I do a good job of it, but just I can look at things and just laugh at them. That's just the kind of attitude I've got at it. But
yeah,
that one, it got to a point where I'm like, this guy needs to know what the real story was. Gave him it. He then understood why it happened, and it just, I'd say it gave me the freedom to go and do it. But then I think Ernie and Russell Knox came out and backed me the next day, which was huge.
Yeah, getting that kind of support from your peers must give you that bit of vindication.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I actually played with Ernie in South Africa. I played with Charles Schwartzel, and I remember Schwartzel hitting a woman square in the head. And so Ernie realises that, I mean, I was roaring, I was trying to shout 4, but I'm too scared. I'm out with two big guys, I mean, showstoppers, if you want to call them that. And he hit someone, and I didn't shout 4, and I felt bad. And I said to Ernie, can I shout 4 at your guy's ball? Like if you guys aren't shouting and it's heading to the crowd, can I shout 4? And he said, yeah, no bother. Because Ernie had done it in the previous hole, forgot to shout 4. Schwartzel done it in the next hole. I mean, the crowds are huge. Cracked the woman in the head, and I'm raging myself for not shouting. So then the next hole, once he said, yeah, you can shout. If anyone's ball's heading anywhere, you can shout. Next hole, I've carved it straight in the crowd, and the thing's hardly left the club, and I'm shouting because I know where this thing. So it just he knows when I'm saying them things, and it's kind of gone everywhere. He's obviously realised, right? I remember that time he said that to me.
Yeah, and like the crowds are so vast, and they do come in pretty like close enough. They're not miles out wide left or right, so that you don't have to be too far off to even be getting close to them. So it also sounds like you're not coming at this with a malicious angle. You genuinely care about, like, these people are coming to watch you play a sport, and you're very aware that they are potentially in the firing line.
Yeah, I mean, I've got my family are down there. If I'm hitting a ball into the trees or into the crowd, if my family are there, I'm not wanting it to hit them. I'm wanting to give them as much warning as they can. If someone even sees the ball, they can kind of call out where it is, or worst comes to worst, they get duck and turn their back to it. And if they get hit, they're not getting hit square in the head.
Yeah, like we've seen some pretty bad examples. Like I think like Ryder Cup was one, and it doesn't take much to be very unlucky and be in the wrong place at the wrong time. And it's so funny that you even had to ask Ernie like whether you should be allowed shout. Like I thought it was very funny. I don't know if you ever saw in the Solheim Cup this year where a guy screamed for Lexi Thompson.
Yeah.
And she actually nearly hit someone square in the head, and she looked at him as if to say it wasn't that bad, and it really was that bad. Do you know? I think
she actually did say, "Geez, it's not that bad."
It's not that bad, and it landed this close to the guy, and I actually wondered then: is it the done thing to shout, or are you insulting someone by doing it? But look, if it's either that or the choice is someone getting it in the head, then shout.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Moving on then, because we got pretty deep into that. It was deeper than I thought, which is a trend for this episode.
Yeah.
When did is Rookie of the Year something you had on your mind, or when does it come into the conversation? Because you're ticking along, you got a lot of really good results here. You're making good points and good money, so you're flying up the race to Dubai.
Yeah.
When does Rookie of the Year start becoming a thing in your head?
Probably after British Masters.
Oh, early on.
Yeah. So once I had that finish at British Masters, I'm like, my manager then says, "Look, there's a Rookie of the Year at the end of the year," and I think I was sitting handy. I was sitting maybe second, and then I had the good week in Denmark, and then it was really on the radar. Then I think I actually became number one on it. But it actually became a good battle out with the golf tournament. It became like there was something else to keep my eye on and just try and get better. And it was just, if I was competing for a tournament, if I was up there close to leaderboard, I wasn't worrying about the golf tournament. I was trying to think about the Rookie of the Year and the position that I was in, and just to try and free my mind up.
Yeah. And then so you set this good foundation now, and that's definitely a theme through your career. Do you feel like there was something that you didn't have to get you across the line? Because you had 3 second places, and each time you finished with one shot behind the win.
Yeah.
So is there something that you now must have the confidence to be able to go, I know that if I do my routine, stick to my thing, play my game, control the controllables, that a win is very close on the horizon?
I do. I mean, for me, last year it was a bit of luck had to go your way. Denmark, I hit a bad shot on 17 final round, which cost me in the end. But little things like Bernd was getting up and was holing putts, and don't get me wrong, I was holing putts as well, but he chipped in for eagle on about 11. These little things all go. There's a momentum. I mean, if he makes birdie there and I'm still ahead of him, there's a different mindset and little things. And I feel like for you to win a golf tournament, things have got to go for you. And for me, nothing. I feel like it's not gone for me yet. I mean, in Germany again, Casey hold 2 big long, one putt in 16 that I'm standing middle of the fairway watching it. He's rolled it in from like 40 feet on a green that is just mental. You just expect to be lucky if you 2-putt it. He's hold it, and I'm like, well, he's stealing a shot from everyone else there. And then you push it to the limit again, and you come up one short. But for me, I felt like there was not much else I could do in these events. Even when I'm finishing second, okay, I might have one bad round like Germany. I had a poor round, but I'm still going into Sunday tied for lead. So I'm in a position where I wanted to be. It's just little things just haven't fallen my way. But if you keep giving yourself chances, it can't keep falling. the wrong way for you. There's one time it's gonna tip your way, or you run away with it.
Especially if, like you're saying, you're having one round that doesn't quite go your way, and followed by 2 good rounds and a great round. It's a matter of time before you line up four good rounds. It doesn't need to be 4 great rounds, and you'll know that you'll have the confidence to be able to run away with it.
Yeah, that's the mindset I've got. Is just kind of freeing it up and let it happen. Don't try and get into a position and then start thinking about it. Just let it happen.
So then with the new schedule that was announced by European Tour just as we're recording, it was yesterday. I imagine you were probably informed of this a while ago. What have you planned out, which events that you're going to commit to? I imagine British Masters is going to be on there.
Yeah, I'll be there. I'll be at the British Masters. I then need to work out, I'm in the USPGA, so I need to work out what kind of quarantine I've got to do in the States if I'm flying over there. I've seen a thing that they might not have to do it, but little things. So I'm going to try and get myself competing before that event to try and get the mind switched on. If I don't have to quarantine, then I might be able to play an extra event in Britain. If not, then you've got to get up and go and sit it out, or it might not be the right thing to go because you've got to quarantine over there for maybe a week, play the event, and then when you get back you've got to quarantine here for a week. So it's 3 weeks out of your schedule that you don't need. And in today's world, the way it is right now, is no one's safe from this. So I just need to line up all the options, and we'll try to put it in place.
Sorry, would you take it as a priority, maybe because it's obviously a fairly curtailed schedule that's coming up? Would you be taking majors as a priority, or just getting back out and playing, say, the British swing, for example, is which sits higher in your list of priorities?
Obviously, the majors are up there, but life's more important than a golf tournament. And flying to, I've seen some flights. Again on social media, jam-packed, and with this problem that we've got right now is if someone has it and you're right next to them, you're going to get it. And I don't want to be in a flight where I'm going to get it and then I take it to the event, I give other folk it, I then come home, give my family it, my family then give it to someone else. And I just don't want that to happen. If I can do it, if I can go to the States and play the USPGA safely, I'll do it. If not, then I'll not be going.
And so what's the big goal or ambition then for this season? I imagine you want to be getting inside the top 50 and you're well able to.
Yeah, so by the end of the year, hopefully top 50, which then opens doors to the majors, and then, just maybe the Ryder Cup if that doesn't go ahead this year.
I was going to say that puts you into the conversation for the Ryder Cup. Have you started canvassing Captain Harrington yet?
No, I just need to wait and see what's going to happen. It's one of them things that there's a lot of people now kind of wanting it off. It puts a smile on my face if it does get called off, because it gives me an extra year to climb and get in there. But just now I'm sitting too far back. I'm too far outside to even be a thought in that kind of situation. But it's, the more I look at it, the more less it's looking less likely it's going to go ahead, with some of the bigger names kind of sweeping it under the carpet.
I love your confidence though, that you're like, let's push it next year and I'll just walk onto the team.
and I'll be there.
Oh no, I might not be there, but if I keep playing good golf, I'll be in my chance if I keep doing what I'm doing. It's golf. You're just hitting that. It's only you that can hit it. Greg can't hit it. My coach can't hit it. My managers can't hit it. Only me. So if I prepare and do everything I need to do, then who knows?
Just promise us one thing, that if you do get picked on the Ryder Cup team, that you don't play shinty the week before.
I might retire that year
Or do play shinty the week before and go and win everything. Who knows? That seems the way you do things. It's not you're not your ordinary common and garden professional golfer. There's way too many strings to your bow, I think, to even be considered half normal. So doing these things just seems it's really refreshing, Johnny. Like for us to chat, like a lot of people are a lot of pros that we talk to are very regimented. It's golf. But what we've seen over the last while, a lot of people kind of come out of their shell, and the kind of true personality of people come out. And I think that it's it's just very, for me, it's just very refreshing to hear that kind of story, to be honest, because it just shows a level of normality that we wouldn't be normally exposed to with professional golfers from what we just see from a Thursday to Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of them things that I can't. I could try and hide everything that I'm doing. I could try and hide that I'm playing shinty, but it's going to get out somewhere. You know what I mean? And then if I'm trying to keep that a secret from my managers and stuff, then it's like, well, what are you doing this for? This is in your contracts here. It's in your contracts there. That's why everything gets checked. And if someone ever try to do that, then they're trying to change me. They're not trying to make me a better player by me using a certain product or whatnot. They're trying to change you. They're trying to make you do certain things when that's not the way life is. Life is you do what you want, or not what you want. You do what makes you better at your job, which for me is playing shinty.
It sounds like you've got some really, like, obviously a great team around you, but also some good partners that you've put that relationship with. And who are some of your sponsors that, like, they're obviously supporting you and they get behind you as a person as well as a golfer or brand?
So I've got TaylorMade, obviously. They're the club sponsor. Orion Group up in Inverness. They sponsor me. They understand it. They're a family owned business that I go and have dinners with them now and again, and they realise how important that was. I mean, I've sat down and spoke to them about it, and they understand it. And then I've got Aberdeen Standard Investment, who, I mean, I don't really kind of speak to them as closely, but they understand it as well. It's just about it's about the way I work. It's, if people don't like that, they won't back you. It's like, if people don't like you, they won't speak to you. It's just the way, it's just life.
It's a far more wholesome brand to be associated with, to me, to be honest. Like, I can see why those people want to, and local companies, Scottish as opposed to domestically local, would want to be associated with you. It just makes the story better.
Yeah, it's quite nice being from, I mean, I'm pretty much in the Highlands, and having a Highland company like Orion being behind you, it's nice because I can promote them, they can promote me, and it's just, again, it's like in this area where we live, it's like one big family. Everyone's supporting you. Like today, out on the golf course, the community's right behind the golf course just now because it was struggling. But I mean, the members have just got right behind the club and have boosted it, and it's brilliant to see.
Bob, thank you so much for your time. You've given us plenty. You're very, very generous with your time. If the Irish Open ever does get confirmed, and you do end up playing it, or if we're over in some tour event, it'd be great to catch up again and spend a bit of time with you. You've been brilliant.
Well, thanks again, guys.
On the tee, Jack Nicklaus.
This is the minute that millions around the world have waited for.
We will allow you to enjoy all of this. They are dancing in the pubs of Dublin. Harrington with an ace.
And we have a shining star at sunset. Rory continues his run to greatness. The return to glory.